Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the webinar. And so today, week one of our program, I am going to go through kind of where you should be already. And if you have any questions, then please let me know. First of all, I just wanted to review these 6 nutrition tips for success. So these are common sense and really part of the whole program. But the first one is really most important. So it's what it's all about. Paying attention to what you're eating every day as often as possible is going to help you to stay on track and just become more conscious of what you're doing. As we work through, the second mindset tool is really more about awareness. So when we get to that, you'll see also how important this really is. So sitting down, putting your food on a plate, sitting down, eating at a table so that you're paying attention, chewing your food 100 times like your grandmother told you is helpful as well. And just eating slowly so that you're breaking it down. It's not just for the awareness, but also for your whole digestive process. So when you begin to chew food in your mouth, there's different enzymes that get excreted so that you can begin to break down the food. And then stop at 80% full is important because there's different signals in our, as the food comes down through in our stomach, through our small intestines, at different areas, the different enzymes, again, are excreted at different areas that break down different parts, different macronutrients, the carbs, proteins, and fats, but then also where different micronutrients are absorbed in different areas of our digestive system. So when we start to, break down the food as much as we can, when it first enters your mouth, then you're going to have a much better digestive process, less gas, and other problems that you might have from indigestion. Some people, kind of side topic, but just thinking about digestion, I know some people find that when they start to eat more vegetables that they have more stomach upset. So if you're finding that, then you might want to try a digestive enzyme initially just to help your body get back in track with creating those enzymes on its own. And then stopping at 80% full, it takes a good 10 to 20 minutes for your body to send those signals from your stomach back up to your brain that it's full. So by the time you're actually feeling your stomach, like when you're that full feeling, you're probably way beyond actually being full. So when you first start to feel that, stop eating, wait to drink some water, wait 10 minutes, and see how are you feeling. Do I actually need more food? Because probably you don't. So you think about it, once you figure out your caloric intake for the day, you only need anywhere from 300 to 500 calories to get you through to your next meal, depending on how many meals you're going to have and when your next eating will be, to sustain you, right? So if you have 1,500 calories and you're awake for, you're going to be awake probably more than 15 hours, but if you ate every 3 hours, then that's 5 meals, 300 calories a meal, right? So that's not a huge amount of food. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that and only consuming what you need to get you through that next period, because the excess is just going to be converted and stored as body fat. Number 2, eating dense proteins. So we're going to get into proteins a lot more, but 20 to 30 grams for women, 40 to 60 for men is what's recommended. And you'll see on the food list what are the different types of proteins that are best to choose. And then veggies. So if you can start to focus on eating your veggies first, it's going to fill you up. It's going to give you fiber. It's going to give you all the micronutrients, phytochemicals that you need, keep you more alkaline, and just make your body healthier all around, help your hormones work better or make sure that the hormone system is balancing itself out. Okay, so step 3, veggies. And then number 4 is fiber. Fiber-rich, complex carbs after your workouts if you're trying to lose fat. So we need to get carbs in our diet. You'll see on the food list what are the better options for carbs. Avoiding the simple carbs and eating more complex or smart carbs is going to help you to balance things, drop the body fat. And so if you eat the carbs after your workout, you're replenishing all the energy that you just used up. And as opposed to when you're not depleted, it's just excess energy in your system. And if you don't need it, you're not going to be using it anytime, before your next meal. It's going to get converted and stored as body fat. Okay, so we want to try to train our bodies to use the fat that's already there, and that'll help you with your fat loss program. And healthy fats, number 5, we need fat in our diet. The lining of our cell walls is a phospholipid layer, which is fat. So if your cells are not as healthy as they can be, then this is where the receptors for different, for hormones, for digesting food, everything happens around that cell lining. And when things are getting in that shouldn't be in there, then that's when inflammation happens. Okay, so keeping your cells and your body as healthy as possible is best for your health and for your weight loss program. And then lastly, beverages. So you need to stay as hydrated as possible. So at least 1.5 or 2 liters of water a day. You may want to infuse it with some lemon lime, maybe an electrolyte drink. I like to have green tea is another good one. So add some fruits that floats around, infuses your water. All things to make your water a little more tasty so you can get that in. Okay, excellent. So next, we are going to page 1. So I'm basically going to go through the checklist or the attachments to the program that you. Sorry about that. If you've worked through the first week, this is what you should see already in the attachments. So number 2 is the mindset tool. So being aware of what you're thinking, what you're focused on, and it's going to help you to get to where you're going. So I hope you've already done this. You're going to rate from 0 to 10 where you're at in each area of your life right now in these areas. You might have some other areas that are more important to you. Great, add those in. These aren't important, then, I hope these are important to you. These are kind of the basics of health. So then once you've rated them 0 to 10, I want you to pick the 3 that are most important to you, okay? And so when you pick those 3, you're going to put them here. It doesn't need to be the lowest 3. Sorry, I'm going to go back for a minute. So for instance, maybe your stress level is really high and maybe your body composition is not where you want it to be. Okay, those 2 things are output. Like those are measures that you can't control immediately by there's other things that you can do to that will affect those measures, right? So for instance, activity level, that's something you can do immediately. You can get up and go for a walk, get 250 steps in every hour, which is recommended. That's something you can do immediately. That will have a long-term effect on your body composition, right? You can't just suddenly drop 2% off your body fat. Okay, so focusing on the things that you can control is going to help you get that result much faster. Okay, same with your stress. What can you do to relieve stress? Maybe you need to plan that there's more fun and relaxation in your life. Maybe you need to get more sleep. These are more of the active factors that you can do immediately to impact those other things. So just have a look at your whole list and try to choose your top 3 that are going to be the most impactful on the rest of these factors. Okay? And there we go. Okay, so next, imagine that you're in your perfect world with that area. So let's say it's your fun and relaxation. Okay, what would be ideal for you? Is it, you know, twice a week having a get together with a close friend, or what's fun for you? You're gonna plan a biking tour twice a week or something. Okay, whatever it is for you that's going to be fun and beneficial for your life, that's going to bump your rating from a 4 out of 10. It's not going to immediately go to a 10, but imagine the whole idea of this part of this activity is to really get yourself into the feeling of how am I going to feel when this happens for me. Okay, so it's the easiest way is to think about a time in your life when you've already experienced this, and remember how that felt. So how did you feel? What were the emotions? What did you see around you? If somebody was looking at you, what did they see? What did you hear? And what did you hear in your surroundings? What will you hear in your surroundings when you get that? So that might be your own, that in your surroundings may be nature, things from nature. It might be voices of people closest to you, and what are they saying to you? But then also consider hearing what's your own self-talk. What are you hearing inside that you're going to know that now you've achieved success in this area of your life. Okay, and part B of this, because our social world is super important, the people and the environment closest to us has a huge impact on the thoughts we think, the choices that we make, and the outcomes that we get, and our beliefs about ourselves, about the world. So looking at how is the environment and the people and the closest environment to you, how is that going to change? So for the positive, we want to look at, what does that look like? So then you can start to plan how you can change your environment so that can happen. But also, there may be things that are keeping you where you are that you don't want to lose. So really thinking about that. What do you have now that needs to stay because you don't want to lose that in your life? Okay, and so separating that from the outcome can help you to move forward, stop the self-sabotage really that kind of keeps you where you are because you don't know why you're not moving ahead. Okay, so this really takes some thought process. Once you pick your top 3, you may even just want to focus on one for a day and just think about that. What is it that around that priority for you that keeps you where you are? Where is it that you want to go instead? What simple steps? So the next, the last part of it is, what is one small step that you can take to get there? Okay, I'm just going to jump backwards here. So your motivation for change, I encourage you to, when you first look at this, give yourself a rating from 0 to 10. How motivated are you that you're going to change? But then once you really get into this whole thought-provoking process with that priority and really imagining what the end result is, check it again, because when you get yourself in the right mindset and the right feeling, then you're going to be much more motivated to change. Sorry, I'm getting Facebook notifications. Okay, so next, so I mentioned choosing one thing that you can do this week. Make it as simple and fail-proof as possible, okay? I know we all want big results, but you have to get there one step at a time. It's like driving in the dark. You don't know what's going to be ahead. You're not going to just get there in the next hour. If it's an hour drive, you're not going to get there in the next 10 minutes, right? So it's common sense. You have to take one small step at a time. And then once you get there, other things are going to open up for you that will, first of all, success, that, wow, maybe that wasn't as hard as you thought. And that you're going to be more motivated to continue on. So spend some time with this mindset tool to self-assess your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, your environment. I hope that you need a lot more paper than this to complete it if you're actually really focusing and doing this well. Okay. Excellent. So mindset tool, that was the mindset tool. Now we're going to get into the Metabolic Booster worksheet. Okay, so you should have downloaded this from section 2.1, I believe. Step 1 is to choose your body type. Okay, so this is from the Precision Nutrition. So this whole Metabolic Booster program I've put together from all of my experience with weight loss and nutrition over the past 15 years. And this is from I've read it elsewhere, but Precision Nutrition uses this model to help us determine a starting point for our macronutrients in our diet. There's all kinds of diets out there, the keto diet and paleo, and it's so confusing, but this is research based. We know that this is that this works for the majority of people, and there's always exceptions that it might not work for you. Okay, so this is our starting point, so I don't mean that it's not going to work for you. This is where we're going to start, and then if you get to a plateau, then we're going to tweak your program, and that's all built in. So you're going to see that as we go. So you're going to, I apologize, I'm on my Mac, so the document here is converted from Excel over to numbers, and it looks a little bit different. So I hope it's displaying clearly on your screen. But you're going to basically choose your body type here. So ectomorph is people that are typically kind of lean. If they gain weight, it's usually kind of midsection. Their arms and legs stay pretty skinny. So if this is your body type, you're going to choose this, and generally they do better with a higher carbohydrate diet. Mesomorph is more kind of athletic build. If you gain weight, it's kind of all over, but more so from the midsection down, okay? Whereas endomorph is generally more kind of thick, and weight does go on everywhere. All right, so the reason that, so these different body types tend to, what they found with the research is that they utilize energy differently. So mesomorphs are generally good with a moderate carbohydrate diet. Endomorphs, lower carb, high fats. If you have a lot of fat to lose, this is where I would recommend that we start you off. Okay, so step 2 is to do your measurements. So there's another document in there, how to take your measurements. And then this should calculate your waist to hip ratio for you. For women, it should be If it's over 0.9, increased risk of health, lifestyle-related health diseases. Likewise, BMI. I know a lot of people totally bash BMI. It's just another number. It's just another health measure. There's tons and tons of research around it. And yes, it doesn't factor in muscle mass, but for the majority of people, it is a very quick and easy tool that can be used to give you a guideline on what is a healthy weight range for you. Okay, it's just another measure. So when you're looking at your health, obviously the scale isn't the only thing that's going to be important. So we need to have other factors that help to determine help you to see some progress, right? It takes time for weight loss to happen. So these are just other measures that are going to help you. The body measures, of course, are going to be the first thing that you see. Other things, your blood pressure, resting heart rate. As your physical condition improves, these things are going to drop as well. So we want to see all of that happening. Okay, so once you've got that, we're gonna just do a little example here on this one. So we have, so this sheet is already set up with an example. I'm just gonna change it slightly as we walk through. So let's say we have a 180-pound person who is 5'5", 65 inches, 40 years old. Let's see. Sure. So what this does for us, it uses this Harris-Benedict equation to automatically calculate. Here's the equation if you want to do the math yourself, but I've programmed it in for your BMR is your basal metabolic rate. This is the amount of energy that you consume when you're totally at rest, okay? So interesting, so there's different equations out there. This one, recommended by Precision Nutrition as well, has been found to be the most accurate. Some of these tools are up to 20% off, either high or low. But again, this whole program is a starting point for you because everybody metabolizes, everybody's different, right? So that's why I wanted to have a plan that we individualize for each person. So other factors are how effectively your thermal effect of food is one thing. So just the process of digesting food takes energy. If you're eating more whole foods, more complex natural foods, your body's going to take longer to digest that versus eating simple sugars. Those are just going to absorb pretty immediately into your bloodstream. And then all that energy is just there, as opposed to, so you eat a candy bar, as opposed to eating a nutritious rice and veggie meal. Your body's going to take a lot longer, same amount of energy. The carbs break down to the same unit in the end, but it's that whole process and the nutrient value of the healthy meal that is what makes up your body composition. So anyway, the thermal effect of food is how quickly does your body use that, how much energy does your body burn to break down that food. Okay, hopefully everybody's following me. I'm not seeing any questions pop up, so I'm just going to keep going here. So this is the equation that we've chosen to use. So you can enter cells in on the sheet in the yellow, and then we move on to the next one. Now you're going to look at how much activity do you get on a regular basis. From there, so for this individual, we're going to say that they're lightly active. So we would add a factor of 1.375 for that increased activity beyond the basal metabolic rate. And then if we want to lose weight, we take off 500 calories per day from that. And so 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So a deficit of 500 a day is a pound of wheat, and that's pretty healthy. to lose weight at that pace, and you're way more likely to maintain that than trying to restrict your calorie intake so low that you're going to drop some weight, but there's no way you can maintain that kind of a diet. So we want you to make changes that you're going to be able to live with, so there's no more yo-yo happening. So for this individual, 1607 is the calorie intake that we have. So then on this next page, we add that in to the red cell there, and that will automatically calculate then the amount of protein, carbs, and fats, so the three main macronutrients that our food is made up of for the individual. So we're going to assume that this person wants to lose weight and is more of an endomorphic body type. So that gives us 100, I'm just going to jot these down because we need them on the next page, 141 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, and 71 grams of fat. So if you haven't done this already, do this yourself and work through it with me, okay? So then we click on to step 6, create your plan. Okay, so what we do here, this was set up for the 137-pound person, but we know that we want our 1607 is the calorie intake. And then, so we're going to enter that in here, 1607, 141. Wait a minute, I think he's got, pause. Okay, I need that to go. What's happening? Okay, so here we go. 141 protein, carb, and fat. I just want to make sure. Yes, 141 protein, 100 grams of carbs, and 71 grams of fat. Now we need to choose how many meals a day is this person going to have. So 5 meals a day gives us a breakfast, a snack, a lunch, another snack, and then dinner. Okay, so the orange is going to calculate automatically from what we enter in here. So look, right now we have this individual with 1 carb in the morning, 2 fats in the morning, no protein for breakfast. So I am going to add a protein here. Whoops, just 1. What's going on? This should be 1. And so you can see then there's already a protein at snack, at lunch, and at dinner. So this totals 4 proteins for the day for this person. Okay, so really what we want to do is balance out. This is going to be the match here from what we enter into the food, creating your plan, okay? So this is our goal. So we want these to kind of balance out and match. So this bumped up the protein intake to 138 grams, which is almost there, so that's great. Now, carbs, with what we've got in this, that's way too many. So we're gonna drop some carbs out of, now, I wanna, before I go any further, I want you to look at this. So our 6 food categories we have for free foods, that's an extra, doesn't count. We have carbs, fats, proteins, okay? These are the main macronutrients that we know. However, we don't think about, when we eat our food, we don't think about everything. By the end of this program, you might start thinking about it this way, but we eat food, right? We take a sandwich. We don't think about how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fat, how much protein is in that sandwich, right? We know that there's some bread, there's some meat, and you might have some veggies on there, hopefully, right? So looking at, this program is designed from precision nutrition as well as a holistic nutrition program that I was involved with. And this is really how foods are broken down. So when each category then of food here, or each serving, has a certain amount of protein, carbs, and fat, because those are the three macronutrients that all food is made up of, okay? So when we're looking at our total carbs for the day, we need to also remember that veggies, they're very low, but veggies have some carbs in them. Now, veggies like potatoes and squash are much more nutrient dense. So they have, veggies like potatoes and squash, they are nutrient dense, but they are more starchy. They are considered a carb in the carb category here. So 15 grams of carb, and there is a little bit of protein in there as well. Okay, versus like more water-based veggies, and you please check on the food list for what's considered a veggie and which ones are considered carbs. These are like your broccoli and your lettuces. These are more lower carb, and we can eat much bigger volume of these foods, which fill us up more, give us more fiber, more nutrients, everything else. So these are the ones that we want to start with and choose first. So 30 calories versus 80 calories in a serving, right? Dairy, so please review the dairy list. There are some like real Greek yogurt that is considered actually a protein because it has a high amount of proteins in each serving, okay? So, but dairy has 10 grams of carbs in it as well, okay? So when we're looking at the total numbers, your actual like considered carb category, like grains and breads, may be very low, but we're still getting carbs in our diet that come from our veggies and from fruit as well, and from the dairy that we are eating in our diet, okay? So our total carb count here, we want this to drop down to 100. So instead of 4, the most nutrient-dense foods are going to be our fruits and veggies. So that's where we want to get more of our energy from. So I'm going to eliminate one of these carb servings here. So we're down to 3, which is kind of a little bit lower than the suggested range. But if you are, if you've been stuck and you want to push that fat loss, then I recommend that you do it, that you drop it a little bit lower here, okay? Because we're looking at the total carbs overall. So we're still at 130, so we need to drop a couple more here. This, we've got 7 veggies, is pretty high, but let's also eliminate a dairy. Dairy doesn't always agree with a lot of people. So that brings us down to 115. Now, however, just dropped our protein a little bit. So this is where you got to kind of play with it and figure out, look at what am I actually eating and how am I going to balance this out. So we definitely need another fat in one of our meals too here. So, oops, why is it doing that? 1 fat we want here, and that brings this up. We want to add probably another, we've already got 4 proteins, so that should be good. So I'm going to add that back in and then drop a fruit, which isn't what I love to do. But, and now we're up a little bit higher. We still need to drop 1 more here. So we're at 6 veggies. 4 fats are good. And, oh, didn't I drop a fruit? Wait, there we go. 1 fruit in the day. So I think we're pretty close. The calories are pretty close there. So we're going to go with that. So now you move to step 7, creating your plan. Okay, so this automatically populates onto the next page how many servings of each for each meal. And now you're going to look at your food list and create your plan compared to what is allowed here. And as you go, you can swap. So maybe you don't want your fruit at breakfast. You're going to have it at your afternoon snack. Okay, so you can move things around. It's more kind of the total day of what you're doing. But when I look back here, you can see also that your the calories overall, this snack is a little bit less, but that's okay. Overall, we've got a good balance around that 300 calorie range for each meal. So if the meals are evenly spread out every 3 hours through the day, perfect. Okay, maybe you go out for lunch and you end up having, a much bigger lunch. Well, then you're just going to pull things from this snack, or maybe you skipped your morning snack. You're just going to shuffle things around so that your total calorie intake should balance out similarly to this. All right. All right, excellent. So now I just want to... So you should have the food tracker. Make sure you print some off. And so there's that other sheet, or you can download this one from the program to just save paper. You'll just have to write these in yourself here. But I like this because then you can kind of track your time, write in your meals, add your exercise in for the day. There's some other cues down here. How many glasses of water did you have? So you want to make sure, just put little ticks through the day as you get those in. Alcohol. So if you're going to be having alcohol, that has to swap out for a carb serving. Okay, so try to limit it as much as possible, especially during, if you're getting going, then it's empty calories that have really no nutrient value for you. Your liver, it's harder on your organs. Your liver's got to process that. If you're having any hormonal issues, it's definitely going to have an effect on that. So just try to minimize it as much as possible, or plan it ahead, right? That you're going to have a social function where you're going to want to have a drink. Then make sure you've got that planned in for your day. Okay, so your food list chart, you should be, hopefully you've reviewed this already. So this, if you're looking at food labels and comparing, this is key. Kind of compare it to what you see here, and that'll tell you kind of what food category it fits into. But you can see here for the carbs, we've got breads and pastas. It tells you like a half of a bagel is 1 serving, right? Those are really dense. So if you're going through Tim Hortons drive-thru every morning, you're probably getting 3 servings of carbs in those massive bagels that you're eating. Okay, so you want to pay attention to the volume of food that you're getting. So grains, if you're trying to avoid gluten, this is the best way anyway. Choose healthier grains that are gluten-free. Quinoa, rye, oats are good options there. WF stands for wheat-free. GF stands for gluten-free. So depending on what your intolerances might be. And then starchy veggies. So here we go. These are the ones that fit into the carb category. So you want to pay attention to what those are. And so a great way to eliminate gluten and wheat from your diet if that's what you're trying to do. Okay, it's not necessary, but if you there's lots of research that on the wheat and how it can impact you as well negatively. And especially I find, as just in the last few years, that I'm much less tolerant to wheat products. So Okay, so I'm going to leave this with you to go through. I hope that you've already done that. Have a look so you know what's what, and you know, as you're planning your meals, then you can choose from these lists what foods are going to work best for you. Okay. Now I want to, yeah, this is the number 8, but sample meal plans. So if you're stuck, look at the sample list. It's going to tell you exactly what's a suggested meal here. So protein with some berries and yogurt and a little bit of coconut oil. Stir that all together. Yum. And eat that. So there's a bunch of different breakfast sample meals here for you. Eggs is a great protein source for breakfast. Meat's not always something that people want to eat at breakfast, right? So eggs are a good way for that. Then we've got some lunch options. So go through the list, see what you like, and then don't forget about the recipe book that's also included, okay? So the revised meal plan, this was what I wanted to review. So looking at this, you can see that, so before you start, you should track your food for 2 or 3 days, okay? So even if you can remember or you know what you usually eat, most likely, write it down and then map it out. How many servings of each of the food categories is that food, okay? And then you can compare to what is the plan that you have. So if this doesn't work, how are we going to improve that, right? So 2 pieces of white toast is 2 carbs. Peanut butter is really a fat. I know that the Diabetic Association tells you it's a protein, but look at the label and look at how much protein is in peanut butter. It's fat mostly, okay? So just know what's in your food and you can better track things that way, all right? And then we have, so let's just compare. So we did doing very well. Okay, so here's the adjustments that we made for this. Instead of the 2 pieces of white toast, we changed it to 1 piece of whole grain toast. Much more nutrient dense, only 1 carb, but there's way more fiber in that. We'll get to this in label reading, but fiber, the grams of fiber can be subtracted on a label from the grams of carbs, okay? So that actually works. Your body doesn't absorb all of that. It's increases the thermal effect of food so that you're using more calories just to break that down. And then it's better for your whole digestive process, helps clean things out. So make sure you're getting at least 20 grams of fiber in a day, okay? So we improved that meal by adding an egg, so we're getting a protein in there, half a grapefruit for fruit, and some cashew butter for a healthy fat, and we balanced that out so that it meets the recommended meal plan that we created, okay? So you can look through these for the other meals to see also what those, how to swap things out, but it's planning, looking at what you've eaten, doing a food diary for the last few days, and then planning it out, you know, what can I eat instead is really how you're going to be successful with this program. Okay, all right, so to help you further along, we've got a couple diagrams of some food servings. So this one is hand size comparisons here for different types of foods. And I would recommend that the first 1 or 2 weeks that you do start to measure out your food. It's gonna take time and effort and planning, right? You didn't get into a position of not being happy with your weight and yourself by you know, just obviously, if you've not been paying attention to that, that's probably how you got to the position where you are. But anything that you want to be good at and be successful with, you have to plan and focus and make it happen for yourself, right? So just like your eating and your health, where you need to spend a little bit of time, but it's not a lot of time, because a few weeks here to really understand what is a serving of nuts. So as you can see, there's like 10 to 12 almonds is about a serving, okay? A cup, 8 ounces or 1 cup, what does that look like when it's actually in a cup? Measure it out. The cups that you have in your cupboard, take a measuring cup, measure it, dump it in, so you can see what does that actually look like, okay, in what you have. Same with sauces, dressings, and things like that. Know what does that look like. If you're just taking the bottle and squeezing it all over your salad, you're probably getting 3 times more than what you need, okay? So have a look through those. And then the Precision Nutrition Guide for this has, page 1, some other, why isn't that? There we go. Hand serving sizes. So a palm portion of meat or protein is basically 1 serving. So depending on your body size, and as you saw earlier, serving for women 20 to 30 grams of carbs versus 40 plus grams of protein versus 40 or more grams of protein for men. Well, look at the size of your hand is going to be relative to your body size and relative to really what you need to get in a day, okay? So you can start to measure things out that way. Veggies, quick way, a fistful is going to be about a cup of raw veggies. Put that on your plates. A cupped hand for carbs, so a little bit smaller volume. And then for your healthy fats, look at your thumb. So that if you were filling like a tablespoon, the volume that your thumb takes up is probably about that. Right? So this little guide, I just added it in. So if you downloaded this earlier or went through steps 2, then you might not have seen this. So go back and have a look if you don't have it already or you didn't see it. Another food list with some healthy fats. I think they're all the same. That's what's on the metabolic plan. But then some tips on preparation. So on the weekend, and so this weekend, today's Friday, this weekend, I want you to make sure that you've got your plan in place. And then look at your week next week and plan it out. When are you going to be busy that you're not going to have time to prep a meal? So what are you going to do to make sure that you fit that in and that you're not finding yourself at work after, a meeting and you're all stressed out and you just need to eat. And so your only option is to run to the burger place across the street or Tim Hortons and grab a carb-loaded meal, right? No, you need to make sure that you're getting healthy protein, healthy fats, and quality carbohydrates at every meal, okay? So scheduling and planning is number 1, right? Next, make your menus. So look at what's in your fridge, because there may be things that you should throw out. I'm pretty money conscious, so I don't like to throw things out either. But if it's not gonna, I also have the mindset that foods, whether you consume them or you throw them in the garbage, one way they're in the trash. It can go through your body into the toilet and make you feel good or bad, depending on what kind of quality food that is. Those bad foods, okay, if you bought them, well, that's, it's going to end up in the garbage anyway, one way or the other. If it's not a quality food that you need in your body, don't eat it. And if you can't leave it without eating it, I don't like to feed that stuff to my family anyway, so throw it out, right? Just like when you're at a restaurant, you don't have to finish everything on your plate, okay? Yeah, you pay at the restaurant for the experience of the environment, of being served, all of that. Just because you didn't finish your plate doesn't mean you're wasting money. You had the experience. You're not saving somebody in a third world country. All these things that our grandparents used to tell us. Yes, we don't want to be wasteful, but don't wreck your body in the process. That's not going to help you. Okay. All right, step 3. So step 2, make your menu. Step 3, make a list, do your grocery shopping. So the outside of the aisles is best. Inner aisles usually filled with junk. Sometimes I have to go find like my coconut oil, but those are generally in the health food section. So yeah, I usually very rarely hit a middle aisle. And then this weekend, before Monday morning, get some things planned for the week. So you prep your veggies. Once they're cleaned and in the fridge, you're gonna eat them. When you come home and you need a snack, and that salad's already put together, you're going to eat that, as opposed to if you've got to pull everything out and wash it and get it all ready and you're already starving, right? So get yourself prepared ahead of time and then store it conveniently. So if you don't have small food containers, get a bunch. I like Canadian Tire has them on sale frequently, the little glass, because I try to avoid plastic as much as I can. They have nice little square glass containers with a snap-on lid. They fit nicely in the fridge as opposed to the circular ones. They just take up a lot of space. So the square ones, you can pack a lot of things in, and then they stack nicely in my cupboards too when I need to put them away. So, okay, that is everything for today. I don't think we have any questions. So please message me on you can post in the Metabolic Booster Facebook group if you have any other questions. And on Monday at noon is going to be our next call. Okay? Have a fantastic weekend.